Hello lovely people and welcome back to my channel. If I am new to you, then welcome, and if you're a return watcher, then welcome back. I'm so glad to have you here. So I am so excited to be filming this video today. I'm really sorry that I kind of like pulled a Jaclyn Hill on you guys. Like, I have not filmed in so long. I didn't post a video for a while, and then I posted one about a month ago and I said that I was back on YouTube, and then I haven't posted since. So I'm not going to say that again, but just know that I have every intention on hitting it hard, and my New Year's resolution for this year is to give YouTube my all. I did have some personal and family stuff that was going on, and I could use an upgrade on my equipment, but so I was kind of waiting to be able to buy some new equipment, but then I decided, you know what, no, like, I'm just going to use what I have. I'm going to film my videos, share my knowledge, do what I like, and eventually we'll get around to the new equipment. But for right now, this is fine. I'm good with it. I hope you guys are good with it. So I feel like the most important thing is just filming the videos, and we can get better and better in the quality as we go along. But for now, let's just get them done, get them up, so we can all hang out together and talk about makeup. So lately, in the last like couple years, especially in the makeup community, it's been like a disease, like consumerism disease, where we get addicted to buying makeup and feel like every single thing that comes out, we have to get it. And trust me, I was right there too. Every single eyeshadow palette that came out, I wanted it. Every foundation that came out, I felt like I had to try it. But then all of a sudden, one day I was just like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I buying all this stuff that a lot of it doesn't even work for me? If I already have something that works well for me, I don't need to go buy another version of it because I have one that works. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm still buying makeup, but my mission now kind of is more to find the best of whatever the product is, whether that's a drugstore or high-end. So I do try out a lot of things until I find what works best for me, and then I will stick to it. So like with eyeshadows, for instance, like I own every single warm tone shadow that you could possibly conceive of. So I can't see anyone putting out a warm toned eyeshadow palette in the near future that I would need, because I don't already have the shades, because I have them all. So unless someone comes out with a warm tone shadow palette that's just really different and cool and new and just inspiring to me, like, I'm just not gonna buy it. Not just because it's a new palette out so I feel like I need it. Like, if I don't actually need it, then I'm not gonna buy it. So with that in mind, I've realized that there are so many drugstore products that I absolutely love that work just as well as high-end to me. And if you're just getting started in makeup or you're looking for new products, I wanted to give you guys a rundown of the stuff at the drugstore that I think is absolutely as good as high-end, that you could buy that and then you'll already have it, and you don't need to buy the high-end version because you've already got one that works. So I'm going to give you guys my absolute, like, must-have things from the drugstore that work just as good, in my opinion, as high-end products. So let's go. Okay, so starting out with tools, everybody knows about the Beauty Blender. It's like $20 for a little makeup sponge, and they have so many different variations at the drugstore. I usually get my drugstore makeup either from Walgreens or the drugstore section of Ulta, because they both have rewards points, so then it actually makes the makeup cheaper in the long run because you're getting rewards points back. You're getting like cash that you can spend at the store back at both Ulta and Walgreens. So that's where I prefer to shop for my drugstore products. And both of those places have really great affordable alternatives to beauty blenders. Here are some of my absolute favorites. We have the EcoTools sponge, the Real Technique sponge that is dirty because I used it just today. It's still damp. The Morphe sponge, which I really like because I like these flat sides to really work the foundation in. And then the L'Oreal sponge, which is probably, I believe, the closest dupe for a actual beauty blender, because it's just so soft. This one's not, because it's not wet, but when they're damp, they are so soft and they just feel so good. So I would say this one is probably the best dupe, but the most affordable dupe would probably be the Real Techniques or the EcoTools, but the Morphe one's pretty affordable as well. So okay, so now as far as brushes go, I have brushes from just about every brand you could think of. And some of the most affordable brushes that I own are my favorites. For instance, this EcoTools big fluffy powder brush is my absolute favorite powder brush. It just is so soft and it works so well to just really cover your face quickly with a loose powder or a pressed powder, and it's just a beautiful brush. Now, I don't have any of the newer Wet n Wild brushes that have come out because I have like over 200 makeup brushes already, so I do not need any more, but I do have some favorites of their older brushes. I really like this one for foundation. It's just a flat top, very, very soft. It works really well for spreading out foundation and kind of pressing it into the skin, stippling it into the skin. This, I believe, is Wet n Wild's maybe concealer brush. I'm not sure, but it's almost flat on the top with a little bit of a taper, and I love this brush to contour my nose. You can just really get it in there and get the lines on. This one, I'm not sure. I think this might be their old powder brush, and I just really like it because it's really soft and it's not too dense, where I can really just spread out bronzer on my face beautifully without getting too much or really going in too hard. It just gives you a nice, beautiful, diffused application. And then this is their blush brush, which to me is a little too small and dense for blush. I like something really loose for blush to really give you that nice, like, sheer layer of color. So I like to use this one actually to contour. So I just, you know, get in there with it, and it's really good. This brush is absolutely disgustingly dirty and needs to be washed, but this is the e.l.f. Concealer brush, and I love this brush. I use it obviously for concealer under my eyes. I also use it to prime my eyelids, and it's just a beautiful brush. I don't remember if this was $1 or $2 or $3, but it was like $3 or less, I believe, and it is so good. This is a Real Techniques contour brush, but I absolutely love this one for powdering, setting under the eye, in the center of the face, anywhere where you just want to set down your concealer. This brush is so nice and tapered that it just gets in there beautifully, and it's nice and soft for setting your under eye especially. It's my favorite. This is the setting brush, which is technically supposed to be used for what I used that last one for, but I use this one for highlighting. It is my favorite highlighting brush I've ever had. I have many highlighting brushes, but this is always the one I go back to. I try those out for a little while, and I end up going back to this one because I just love the way that it's tapered. Just makes it spread out the product so nicely, so you don't have that just stripe of highlight that doesn't look good. It really diffuses it into the skin and blurs out the lines of it, and it's just beautiful. Okay, so back to Wet n Wild. This is a blending brush from Wet n Wild. It's so soft. I absolutely love this brush. I use this one especially to blend out where I put my transition shades. I use it to really blend from my brow bone, blend the transition shade, like the seam between my brow bone highlight and my transition shade. I really like to get that blended and diffused, and this works beautifully for that. Two of my favorite eyeshadow brushes from e.l.f. This is a blending brush. I like it because it's kind of thin. You could either, you know, really lay down some color in your crease or outer corner, and then you could turn it sideways and really blend it out. And then this little e.l.f. brush is all worn down. I don't know any of the specifics on it anymore, but this brush is one that I use every single day. It's kind of like a little pencil brush, but it's a little bit more flattened and round, so it works beautifully to put in color on your outer corner and into the crease if you're wanting to put in a deeper color in your outer corner and drag it into the crease and you want to be really precise. This brush is beautiful for that. It's really soft. It's perfectly packed. I cannot do my eyeshadow without this brush. I use it every single day. These are three of my favorite Morphe brushes that I cannot do my eyeshadow without. If you're looking to buy some Morphe brushes for eyeshadow, I would definitely recommend starting with these three. The first one is the M441. This is just a beautiful, fluffy, natural hair blending brush to really get those transition shades blended out, diffused. It works beautifully and lays down the perfect amount of product. The next one is the M433. This is one of their most popular brushes along with the 441, and it's so nice because it's so tapered like that. It's another one that's great to put color more precisely into the crease and outer corner, and then you can kind of turn it on its side and blend it out. And then this is the M432. This is just a flat definer brush that works so good to smudge shadow along your lower lash line or anything that you need to be precise. This is wonderful. So these two Real Technique brushes are two of my new favorites. This one, I love it so much because it's just teeny tiny. It's just the perfect tiny little pencil brush that I've always been looking for. It's great to smudge out shadow on your lower lash line, or if you're doing a cut crease. It really helps if you want to blend out that really precise line and just blend the edges of it. It came in a pack with this one, which is just called the smudge brush, which I love for smudging the shadow on my lower lash line. It's just a beautiful brush. Okay, so now that we have our tools, let's talk about our base. So primer, one of my absolute favorite primers of all time, not just from the drugstore, but just in general, is the L'Oreal Magic Lumi Primer. This just gives your skin such a beautiful glow, and I feel like it kind of hydrates my skin a little bit too and just makes my foundation lay so beautifully on the skin. I am more on the dry side, so this works wonders for me. If you're oily, you might not like it so much, but if you have normal to dry skin and you want that kind of glowy look, I highly recommend this one. And then if you're going for a more pore-filling primer, which I do, I have dry skin, so I want something to hydrate me everywhere, except on my cheeks, I do have kind of large pores, so I want something to fill in my pores there. And for that, my favorite is the NYX Pore Filler. It's definitely a silicone-based primer, kind of like your Benefit Porefessional or anything like that. This is kind of a thicker, drier formula, which I actually really like, and it just takes a tiny bit and just press it into your pores, and it gives you that really smooth finish. Okay, so let's talk about foundations, and a couple of the classic foundations from the drugstore that everyone kind of knows and loves are the Milani Conceal and Perfect. If you're wanting like kind of a thicker, full coverage foundation, this one is amazing. It's really like waterproof and sweat proof, so it stays on really well. It's kind of a satin matte or natural finish, so it's not like super duper matte, but I have heard a lot of people with oily skin that really like this. So another kind of favorite is the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow or the Pro Matte, depending on whether you're oily or dry. I am dry, so I use Pro Glow. This one is pretty much empty, and it is my second or third one, and so I need to go buy a new one of it, but it's just they're great foundations. If you just, you want something basic. They have pretty good coverage. They're pretty long wearing. This one is nice and dewy and glowy for people with dry skin, and the Pro Matte is nice and matte for people with oily skin, so you can't really go wrong with either of them. And then probably one of the favorites if you are oily or normal even, or even just slightly dry skin, is the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless. It's not a flat matte, so it works really well for people with oily skin, really well for people with normal skin, and it's even not so matte that people with dry skin cannot wear it with a hydrating primer or something like that. So for me, I pretty much only wear this in the summertime when my skin's not so dry, but it is a beautiful foundation. Okay, so my new absolute favorite foundation from the drugstore is the new Wet n Wild Mega Cushion foundations. I love these so much. The first day I got one, I got the shade Light Ivory, and I brought it home and I used it, and it was a little bit light for me, but I could totally make it work. Like, it wasn't even a whole shade too light, maybe half a shade too light for me. But I loved the finish and the coverage and everything of it so much that I went back later that day and bought the shade Darker, which is Cream Ivory. And it might be about half a shade too dark, but I can make either one of them work just fine because they are not a full coverage. They're kind of I would say, on me, they're like a medium coverage. I've heard other people say they were like a light to medium. To me, they're like a good solid medium coverage. So either way, like a half a shade off isn't going to be that big of a difference if it's not like a thick full coverage foundation. So I can use them mixed together, or I can use one or the other. Probably for the rest of the winter I'll use the lighter one, and then as spring and summer get here and I get some color, I'll start using the darker one and then go up from there. But they go on pretty dewy, which I like, but after they kind of settle into the skin and dry down a little bit, they actually lose a little bit of that dewiness, so it's more of a natural finish than a really dewy finish. They do have SPF 15. I don't notice much for flashback, and I think that the medium coverage is beautiful. It's a nice lightweight formula, so it just lays beautifully on the skin. I use a damp sponge and just kind of stamp it in there on the cushion and then work it into my skin, and I just find that it's just like this beautiful veil of skin that just looks so good but not overdone, and I love that. It doesn't emphasize texture or settle into fine lines because it is such a thin formula. Anyways, I'm just newly obsessed with this. I found it on a little display at my Walgreens and I just like, I love it. I want to use it every single day. Like, I have been trying to get myself to use like old favorite foundations and stuff, but I just want to use this one every single day. So moving on to the most affordable but amazing concealers. Okay, another really, really affordable concealer that actually really surprised me with how much I love it is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus concealers. They have a nice amount of coverage, but yet they're not so drying. These ones are pretty matte, but it's not like a drying Sahara Desert type of matte. It's just like a nice demi-matte type of situation. I love this for spot concealing on my face, so I have a darker shade for spot concealing my face, and then the lighter shade for my under eyes. This is what I always, every single day, what I prime my eyelids with, and I love it because it's not too dry that it makes my eyelids all crinkly. I think the last time I bought this, I got it on sale at Walgreens for like $3.99, I want to say. I definitely have had at least 2 more of these that have gotten emptied out, so I've had at least 4 of them, so that tells you that they're really good. Another one of my all-time favorite concealers that I believe was the first concealer that I ever really, really loved are the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind concealers. These are so great. The only downside to them is the applicator, like this sponge thing on top is, nobody likes that. I don't know why they're still making it this way. They need to repackage this, but the product is amazing. Okay, so probably my absolute favorite concealer right now while it's wintertime and my skin is at its most dry, and especially my under eyes. Like, my under eyes are going through it right now, you guys. Like, they are the Sahara, like, no joke. I put on oil treatments underneath my eyes every morning and every night before I put on my eye cream and my moisturizer, but they're still just so dry. So the concealer that has actually been saving my life through this winter is the Maybelline Fit Me concealer. As you can tell, I have 4 different shades here, so I really, really love this concealer. So I have the shade Fair, then I have the shade Light, then I have the shade Sand, and then I have the shade Deep, which I contour with. But this concealer is just so great because it gives you like a good medium coverage, but it's just so hydrating and beautiful. It looks like there's nothing on your skin. It just is perfected. Like, that's the best way I can explain it. If you've never tried it, I think they're about $6 and you need to try it. Like, if you try any concealer, I highly recommend this. Unless you have really bad acne that you want to spot conceal, this is probably not the best for that because it doesn't have full coverage. But anything else, if you're on the dry side, if you have dry under eyes, if your skin is dehydrated, or if you're have maturing skin, anything like that, or if you just want a more natural look and a medium coverage instead of a super high coverage, then I highly recommend these. They are beautiful to contour with, to cream contour with, because of the way they just blend out so beautifully and tracelessly that it looks so natural. Like, I cannot recommend these enough. Okay, so let's talk about powders. So, as I have mentioned several times in this video, I have very, very dry under eyes. And the only powder that I have found that doesn't make my eyes look like crepey and crackly and dry and just horrible when I try to set them is the Maybelline Fit Me Set and Smooth pressed powder. This is for dry skin. This is not the matte and poreless pressed powder, which is also, from what I hear, an amazing powder for people with oily skin. But if you have dry or maturing skin and you are just searching for something that you can set your concealer with or your entire face that is not going to look like you have powder on, these work beautifully. It kind of just sets your makeup down and makes it not feel tacky anymore. It feels set, but yet it does not look like you have on powder. These are the most hydrating powders I have ever used, and I have tried just about everything to try to find something to set my under eyes with that doesn't emphasize lines and dryness, and these are it. So another one that I love that works almost as well on my under eyes as the Fit Me powder is the Milani Prep Set and Glow. Now, this is like a drugstore version almost of the Hourglass Ambient Lighting powders. They just give your skin that beautiful glow that almost makes it look like you don't have powder on, but yet you do, and your skin's not tacky. But it's just that beautiful lit from within glow. So these are really, really, really good too. And then if you have oilier skin, or you want to bake, or it's the summertime and it's hot and you want to really like bake in your T-zone or whatever, my favorite powder is the Coty Airspun powder. This powder is so good. Even I am able to bake with this in the summertime and it looks good. Obviously not in the winter, but I do kind of use it on my porous areas, like the middle of my forehead and right on my cheeks where my pores are the largest, because it does really, really cover up those pores really, really well. So I do take it on a damp sponge just right in the areas where my pores are the worst, even now in the winter time, and it just looks beautiful. And so if you don't like the smell, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. I like it. I don't mind it at all. I don't know, it's kind of nostalgic. I love it. Okay, so for bronzing and contouring, without a doubt, it's Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. I mean, like, I've never hit pan like this on a bronzer before in my life. This is my favorite bronzer. I have all the high-end bronzers as well, and I choose this one over them, like, every day. I love the smell of this. I love the tone of this. I love how it gives you just that subtle glow without being like glittery or sparkly or anything crazy. It's just the most beautiful bronzer of life. It just is. And then when I use that bronzer, I use this NYX HD blush in the shade Taupe to contour. It is a really, really beautiful contour shade. I cannot recommend it enough, and it's very affordable. Or another great option from NYX is the contour kit. This one is a little bit pricier. It's about $25, I believe. But to me, it is worth every penny of that, because I can use this contour and highlight palette to do almost my entire face. If I was going on a trip, I could do most of my face with this palette. So I can use these two. Like I said earlier, pressed powders are often a lot less drying than loose powders. And so you have this banana shade and then this kind of beigey shade right here that I mixed together to set my under eyes. And, well, you could set your whole, I could set my whole face with it, but sometimes I do use these two mixed together to set my under eyes, and it actually does not look too drying. And then this one here is just this beautiful, like, super subtle glow that is kind of similar to the Hourglass Ambient Lighting powders or the Milani Prep Set and Glow that you could just dust all over your face and it would give you that lit from within glow. And then this one here, right here in this corner, is like a nice icy actual highlight that you could use to highlight your face. And I use this one here to contour my face, and then I mix these two for bronzer. And then this one is such a beautiful, like, really warm, almost peachy shade of, like, bronzer that I actually often use this one for blush when I want that, like, really natural blushing bronzed look. So, so we've got contour, bronzer, blush, setting the face, illuminating the whole face, and then highlighting. And then I go in and put these two shades here in my crease on my eye. And then I put this darker shade on the outer corner and blend it into the crease for definition and put it on my lash line. And then either one of these two, the very highlighty shade or this more subtle one, are beautiful on the lid, and then this one on the inner corner and the brow bone. And then you've literally done your entire face and your eye look with just one palette. I mean, come on. You can't beat that. That is worth 25 bucks, okay? In my opinion, that is worth 25 bucks. Okay, so moving on from that contour kit that I'm clearly very passionate about, as far as drugstore blushes go, Wet n Wild has some beautiful blushes. I don't have any of them with me. I don't know why. My absolute favorite blush from the drugstore are these Milani blushes, these powder blushes. This one is in Blossom Time Rose. And it just has this beautiful, beautiful glow to it. It's not as much of a glow as like the Luminoso and the baked blushes. It's just the most subtle glow. It has a very, very sheer amount of color, which I love because you can really build it up and you don't go overboard. And it just gives you this very light, sheer wash of color and glow that is just beautiful and dainty and just so flattering. Another blush that I've been really into from the drugstore, this is a sleek makeup palette, which I know that you can find in Ulta, and you can also, I got this at Walgreens, so some Walgreens have it, some don't, but this is a blush palette. It's got these beautiful, like, bright orange shades of blush, which I think are so fun. This one right here is shimmery, so I've never used that, but these bright, like, different orange, this one's almost like a yellow, and then this, I just think they're so fun, and I think they look so beautiful. They're just like, they can make a look so much more interesting, and for summertime, I'm going to be wearing these every day in the summer. I'm really excited. Okay, I'm going to try to hurry through these highlighters and eyeshadows really quick. One of my favorite things is the Essence Pure Nude Highlighter. I like to take my big giant powder brush and I just dip it in there a little bit, just get a little bit on, and then I just press it all over my entire face after I have powdered and everything. And it just gives your skin this glow from within. It's just like, it's not too much, but it's just enough. It could almost be too much. You need to, like, don't go crazy, but you just press it all over your face, and seriously, you look so dewy, so glowy, so beautiful. Like, try it, because these are like $3, $4, I don't know, but try it. Just try it. And even if you don't want to put it all over your whole face, it's beautiful to be built up. You can either use it on your cheekbones as a natural highlight, or you can build it up for a little bit more intensity, and it's beautiful. Like, can't go wrong with this product. Cannot go wrong with it. So some of my very favorite highlights from the drugstore are the Wet n Wild highlights. The one that I am just using almost every single day right now is called Golden Flower Crown. It is beautiful. It's like an actual true gold, but yet it's not too dark for fairer skin tones, which is amazing. I personally am not into pinky highlighters because I'm more of an olive skin tone, so a lot of fair skin highlighters are really pink toned, and I don't like that. So I love that this Golden Flower Crown shade is like really a gold shade, but yet it's not too dark for lighter skin, so me in the winter. I also love the shade Precious Petals, but it is way too dark for me right now. It looks okay, like if you're looking at it, but if I turn my head, you can see like a stripe of darkness. So this is definitely my summer highlight shade from Wet n Wild. And then another beautiful one is Blossom Glow, and it is a more pink tone highlight, which I don't love on a regular basis, but I do like it once in a while. Sometimes certain looks call for it, and this one is beautiful. I don't think you can see it, but anyways, these are so affordable, so good. Of course, another great highlighter from the drugstore are the Sleek Makeup palettes. This is a Solstice palette. I mostly stick to these two shades right here because this one's purpley and this one's a cream. They're all very light though. Like, they're almost too light for me. They all come off very almost white. So I have to go a little bit more careful on these. But the funny thing is, while these three are almost white, this one is so dark. It's a cream highlight, and it's too dark for me to use. So these three are almost too light, and this one is too dark. It's like, okay. But anyways, they're beautiful. They're so frosty, and like, I mean, they are frosty, okay? Like, this is probably the most, like, beaming, see it from space highlight that I own. So moving on to eyeshadow. For me personally, if I was just starting out with eyeshadow, or if I wanted to just have one palette that I use for everything, I would invest my money into the Jaclyn Hill palette. It covers all the bases. You can get a beautiful, more neutral or natural look out of it, or you could do a fun, bright pops of color type of look. It covers all the bases for me. Like, I could live off of just this palette and be okay. So, I think that the $38 is definitely worth it for this palette. The quality is good, and you have just everything you need in one place. But if you don't want to spend that much on eyeshadow, another great option is ColourPop. You can do single shadows. Oh, I'm missing a lot of them. But these are some single shadows from ColourPop, so that way you can kind of customize your own eyeshadow palette, and I think they're $4 or $5 a piece, and so that's a really good option. The quality is amazing, and you can pick every single color. So for actual drugstore palettes, I am personally not a big fan of most of the eyeshadows at the drugstore. I think the quality in them is just not good. I would much rather go for something like the Jaclyn Hill palette or ColourPop eyeshadows. But there are a few exceptions to that, and one of them is this Sleek Makeup eyeshadow palette. This is in Vintage Romance, and this, you guys, is so beautiful. Like, they're almost all like a shimmer. Some of these are more shimmer, some of them are more satin, and some of them are actually mattes with like micro glitter, but they are so gorgeous. There's one full matte right here, like a transition shade, and the quality of them is so good. Like, they're so creamy and delicious feeling. This is what I have on my eyelids today. So as far as the drugstore goes, probably the most must-have eyeshadow for me, there is the e.l.f. Mad for Matte palettes. This one is the first Mad for Matte palette. It just has all the neutral matte shades that you need. They are great quality. They're beautiful shadows. They're beautiful shades. Like, this is all you need for a matte palette. I mean, it's amazing. I think they're $10. They also have a few newer ones that have some beautiful jewel tones and just different shades that are really pretty, but to me, I think if you're only going to get one, the neutral one is definitely the must-have. Okay, and then we have the Wet n Wild eyeshadows, and these are all the newer formulations, newer ones that they've come out with. We've got the Nude Awakening palette, which is beautiful. We have the new and improved Comfort Zone palette, which is very, very beautiful. This is one of my favorites. This blue brown that's in here is so good. I love it. And then we have this one, which is Rosé in the Air, which is like such a good dupe for the ABH Modern Renaissance palette. I used this on my eyes today for all the matte shades, along with some of the shimmers on the lid are from the Sleek palette. But these are beautiful eyeshadows. The shimmers are kind of like okay. I would say get the mattes out of these and then get the Sleek Makeup palette for the shimmers. But the mattes in these are so good. And then we also have a bunch of different quads from them that have recently come out. We've got Sweet as Candy, which is kind of like cool tone shades, and then we have this one is Hooked on Vinyl, which is a really beautiful, just kind of everyday quad. And then we have this one, which is Lights Out, which is grays and blacks, which I don't use these type of shades very often, but I thought it'd be fun to pick up and try out. I haven't tried it yet, but they seem to be pretty okay. The shimmers in these seem a little bit dry and flaky, but you can definitely make them work, especially if you wet your brush with some setting spray or something like that. I think you could definitely make them work. Probably my most used Wet n Wild eyeshadow are the single shadows. This one is Brulee, and this one I use every single day. I use the Wet n Wild concealer to prime my eyelid, and then I set it down with the Brulee shade. I have one that's open on my vanity that I'm using right now, and then I have two backups because I use this so often. It's like every single day, so I can't run out of it. Also, one of my favorite Wet n Wild little palettes, this is called Art in the Streets, and this isn't one of the older ones. I don't know if they've repackaged this one or not, but these bright colors are so beautiful, and they actually are so pigmented, you guys. Like, it's crazy. Like, I use these all the time if I want to do bright looks. Like, I use this palette a lot, and I love it. They're so pigmented. Like, look at that. Like, come on. It's like a couple dollars. If they're going to do away with all their old ones, I hope they at least just repackage it and don't discontinue it, because I love this one. Okay, so as far as eyeliners go, I usually will use a gel eyeliner, which I like the Maybelline gel eyeliner or the NYX gel eyeliner is what I usually use. So then for my brows, the L'Oreal Brow Stylist Shape and Fill and the Brow Stylist Definer are my go-tos. They're basically the Anastasia Brow Wiz and Anastasia Brow Definer. That's what they are. That's how they look. This one has a teeny tiny little tip, and then this one has like the more triangular tip. So that's pretty much what they are, and they work amazingly. I love these. I love the formulas of them. They're not too creamy, they're not too waxy. They lay down the right amount of pigment for me. They're easy to brush through. They last all day. They don't smudge and move around. I like the shades. I use the shade Dark Brunette in both of them, and they're nice, like perfect color for me. They're not too warm, which is amazing for me. I have a hard time, you know, finding dark shades that aren't too warm. And then another one that I love is the ColourPop Brow Pencil, and this is in the shade Black and Brown, because my hair is brown, but my eyebrow hairs are jet black, so I have to really try to find the darkest and coolest browns without being black, because that would look crazy. But this one, this ColourPop one, I really enjoyed. I think it is a little bit creamier than these two, so it does lay down a little bit more pigment than they do, but they all three work really well. And then to set my brows, I love this ColourPop Brow Boss Gel. I'm crazy about this. I need to order a new one because mine is definitely empty, but I just haven't made a ColourPop order recently, but the next time I do, I will definitely be getting another. And then from the drugstore, I just like to use this Great Lash Clear mascara on my brows. It holds them in place. It's clear. Well, this one's not clear anymore because I use it, and so it's all gunky looking. But it works so well. It's like $4. Like, I don't know why more people don't use that, because it's so affordable. It works so well. Okay, and for setting sprays, my personal favorites are the Hard Candy Sheer Envy Primer Mist. I use this as a priming mist and a setting spray because it has glycerin in it. It's very similar to MAC Fix Plus. It really takes away all of that powderiness and gives your skin a lot of dewiness if you are dry. Something that I do every single day, I usually will spray my whole face with this after I'm done to get rid of all the powderiness and bring back the dew. But then after that and throughout the day periodically, if my under eyes start to look really dry or powdery or anything, I'll take my beauty blender, spray a little bit of this one on there, and then press it underneath my eyes, and it really gives that hydration and brings them back to life so that they don't look dry and wrinkly or anything. So for me, like, I love this stuff. I buy this instead of Fix Plus now. I think it's about half the price or even less. I have to get this at Walmart though. I don't know anywhere else they sell Hard Candy. And then for making my makeup last all day, I love the Milani Make It Last. It is probably my favorite setting spray for extending the wear of my makeup. It also does a really great job of taking away the powdery look. I believe it has glycerin in it as well. It does have alcohol in it, so if you're somebody that, I mean, I know I shouldn't be using it all the time because of that with my dry skin, but it looks so good and it holds onto your makeup so well that I just use a couple sprays of it anyway and then just hydrate really well. Okay, so last but not least, let's talk about my favorite drugstore lashes. My number one favorite pair of lashes are the Ardell Mega Volume 250s. These are the ones I'm wearing today. These are so beautiful. Like, I just love them because they have never flat curl technology. They're beautiful. I've worn this exact pair, probably, I don't know, 10 times or more, and they're still hanging in there strong. The band is so thin and nice, and it just blends right in with your lash line so nicely. I like these ones because they're not super long. They're almost like 3/4 lashes, kind of like the Huda Camille Easy Lash, and they're so good. They're so beautiful. I can only find them at Ulta, and so I need to go stock up on more of these because they are my favorite lash. Alright, you guys, we are at the end. That is all of my absolute favorite drugstore products that I think work just as well as high-end products. I so appreciate you guys coming back to my channel. I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to be posting all the time. I'm just going to show you. I'm really, really hoping to really get back at it, make 2018 a great year for my channel. But I really, really appreciate you guys being here. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, because that lets me know that I should still continue to do YouTube videos. Please subscribe to my channel if you are not. Leave me some comments down below and let me know what some of your absolute holy grails from the drugstore are that you prefer over high-end. And if you have any high-end products that you really love that you would like to try to find a drugstore alternative that works just as well, put that down in the comments too. Maybe we can, as a community, come together and help you get some ideas of drugstore products to try out that might be just as good and save you some coin. I've been trying out tons of drugstore skincare and just products for maturing skin and dry skin and stuff like that that are working really well, and I can't wait to share them with you guys. So that'll be the next video in a couple days. So make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, thumbs up, comments. Love you guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.